the first thing we're going to do is the Gourmet Coffee panel. So I'm going to walk you through this in 3 sections. This is ultimately kind of the goal we want to go with. So I'm going to shut these off and we'll build the background together. I can lock them, I guess, and just shut them off, including the background. And I'll just make a new layer, call it New Background. All right, so what we want to do is we want to take a box and we want to make a rectangle. What did I fill this last one with? Oh, just brown and then the herringbone. Okay, so I'm going to pick the first one and no stroke on it. And the fill, I'm just going to pick the brown. And I'm going to take and make another inside box. This one, for now, I'll just make it red. I'm going to put a pattern in it. And then I'm going to select both of these. I'm dragging over them, or I can select one, hold down my Shift key and select the other one. Or I can hit Command A and it selects them both. Then I'm going to come up here and do X, go vertical, and then horizontal, make sure they're centered. Then I'm going to take this, I'm going to put a pattern in it. So what I want you to do is open up your swatches and then go to those 3 drop downs on the far right corner. Go down to Open Swatch Library, and then go down to Patterns, and then Decorative Legacy, or any of them. I mean, it's whatever you want to do. I will pick this one, Herringbone, and then I will put a border around it, like yay. So it looks something like this. How did I do the other one too? Oh, and then I made the gradient, okay, with the burgundy outline. Okay, so then I'll take my rounded corner rectangle tool. Same thing. And I'm just going to fill it full of a solid color at the moment. I'm going to select all 3 of these. Same thing, want to make sure they're all centered correctly. And then I'm going to make this one a nice rich burgundy. That's red. I don't want red, so I'm going to double click on it, open it up. If I double click on it, I can modify this, make it a little bit darker. And say okay. And then the inside, we're going to cut because we want a counter on it. So you can just draw a line across here, like so. And select both of these. So I got just this line and the blue box. I can go to Pathfinder and say divide. Remember how we did that? And then on the inside, I can add a gradient to it. So I'll just start with the default, oh, not on the stroke, on the fill. And I will change the gradient. You can either rotate it here by putting in 90, or you can take your gradation tool on the left, and I can click and drag it any direction I want. I've got to remember, maybe I should put this up here. What did I do? Orange to brown. Okay, so what I'll do is I'll grab, I think this is close enough, orange to brown. And I see this little spot here. Remember this? It reverses the gradient direction, so we can call it that. And then what did I do? A brown, dark brown to a light brown on the bottom. So then we've got a dark brown to a lighter brown on the bottom. I can take this gradation tool, hold down my Shift key, and shift it the other way. Go this way with it. And there you have your background. So make sure when you get through every stage of this, you hit Command Save. So Command S, or you go to File, Save, so that you don't lose any of it. So what I want to do is pick a white stroke, probably at least 10 point and white. And then my fill, I'm going to pick something that looks like coffee. So I'll pick a brown fill. Okay, and then I am going to take my line and do something like this, with just a little drop down and a line over. I don't like that hard edge on here, so I will go to my lines, do round cap on it. Then we can go up under Effects to 3D Revolve. This window will appear. Let me close this. Okay, so you can say preview. Now what you're going to notice is it's pivoting from left edge here. See this? We want to say pivot from right edge. And we have voila. Okay, so after I bring it back here, I'll say that's kind of big cup. So I'll make it smaller. I'll put it like maybe here. Okay. Since I have a fill that's brown, it looks like there's coffee in the cup and a white stroke. Afterwards, you can always go back here and change the width of your on here. Your Illustrator might look a little different. This is Illustrator for 2009 versus 2008, but the tools should be the same. They just might be located in a slightly different spot. Okay, so this one I want no fill and still a white stroke. I might change the thickness of the handle down to maybe 4. Go back under here to 3D revolve. This one is a extrude and bevel. Hit preview, and then I'm going to bring this back to maybe 20 for the handle width. You can see it here. Say OK. Maybe make it a little bit thicker. So now we have our handle. All right, I'm going to lock that layer. I'm going to make a new layer and call this Steam. Oops, over here it is. And say OK. And to do your steam, you're going to want to take your pen tool and kind of just loosely make some wavy lines. Make them as smooth as you can. After all, steam is smooth. Oh, that's a little rough. And I'll go back to here. Let me take my direct select tool and kind of straighten this thing out a little bit here. Or I can take my smooth tool and come in here and smooth that out. I've got to have it selected first. And smooth that out. Hard to see the highlights there. Okay, so now I'm going to default to black and white. It doesn't really matter, but I just want to see it so I can see how I'm going to drop in my mesh tool, my line. So I'm going to take the mesh tool, which is above your eyedropper, and wherever I click, let me change the color. It's so hard to see. I don't want yellow. Let's go some brighter. Okay, there we go. So if I click back on this line, it doesn't create another horizontal. If I want another horizontal, I can click here, another horizontal there. Let me see. Let me put one here, and then one here. Let me see. One here. I'll put one on these lines. The nice thing is you can alter your anchor points and modify them. So now with your direct select tool, I'm going to come around to all the anchor points on the outside. And I'm going to select them all. And once I have them selected, I will change the transparency of their opacity to 0, because after all, steam does not have a solid edge, does it? And if you miss one, don't worry about it. I'm holding down the Shift key as I'm going around here. A lot of anchor points. Maybe I shouldn't put so many on for this demonstration. You'll easily be able to see if you missed one. Not to worry, go back and adjust it. Okay, so now I'm going to go under transparencies and I'm going to go all the way down to 0. Let me get that out of the way. And let me get this out of the way. Okay, so now my transparency is 0 on this. I can even change anchor points if I want, and I can see that that is not a 0. I want it to be. Just pull that out. Okay, so you can move these around to make them as realistic as you want or modify them as you want. One of these anchor points is not at 0. Is it this one? Let's put 0 on here. And then you're going to want to go through and pick different anchor points and make them 0 as well. Come on. Because that would be more realistic to what steam looks like. I'm just randomly picking some. You can always modify it later, right? And then I'm going to pick the whole thing. I'm going to take my tool, select all of this, and I'm going to move it all down. Let me see here. Do I have my selection tool? Change the opacity of all that. And then I can take my pen tool again, and I can make more steam. I'm kind of quickly doing this just to kind of show you an idea. This is for grade, so please take your time and do a nice job. There we go. And let me take my direct select tool again. Selecting the ones I want to have 0 edge. So by layering a couple of these, it gives you more of a realistic feeling. And I can take some in here. Change them back. Right? And then I can take all of that, use my my selection tool. This new thing's got it sent everywhere, selection tool. And I can change all this back. All right, so there is a drop box for you to put your final product in. Again, as you can see, you can go ahead and, let me put this back in here. You can add your type to it, you can add your beans to it. Again, just to quickly show you the beans, super simple. Take your ellipse tool. Let me put it over here. Let me zoom in a little bit more. I'm going to make another one, and then another one. I'll grab this one and turn that to a dark, dark brown. Oops, not the stroke, the fill. Come on. And I'll change these to a lighter brown or even a gradient. I'll grab all 3 of them, go to my Pathfinder here, divide. I can take my direct select tool and throw away the pieces. But now I have this and I can copy paste, get a couple of them, rotate them, resize them, and then you have some beans. So, and then you can always add some drop shadow underneath the beans, a drop shadow underneath your cup. Let me do my steam, get my cup, and you can do drop shadow. Why I keep shooting it over there. 0.05 blur, and how about 0.05 or even 0.5. Say okay. We're going to do the creamer. So I'll show you my swatches here. Go ahead and take your ellipse tool, and you can hold down your shift key as you're dragging it, make a circle. But what I want to do is I want to get my gradient out, and your gradient will default to this color, but go ahead and drag your coffee, the brown you use for your coffee, to white. Change your radial gradient. If it's linear, go ahead and make it radial. Then you're going to take this nifty tool. It's underneath your width tool here on the left side. Go down to Twirl. If you double click on it, you can decide how big you want this thing to twirl and your pressure, or you could just use your default. It doesn't really matter. What you want to do is click and hold this tool down as you're spinning around your object, spinning around the edge. And then you can take your direct select tool and I can squish it so it sits on top of my coffee. And voila, it looks like we have creamer. Isn't that cool? And if you don't like the way you spun it, you can always do it again. So let me back it up, show you. Take the width tool and I can just go around the edge, getting it to spin and spin and spin. And then I can take my selection tool, squish it down, make it fit inside the cup. And now it looks like I have creamer on my coffee. Okay, and then the last thing I want to show you to do is select your cup, right? If you come over here to appearance, well, let me first show you. Under your symbols, you have these default symbols that come with Illustrator. Just like everything else, you can open your symbol library and you can pick some other type of pattern, flowers, whatever you want, or you can pick for symbols, you can pick something more geometric shape or map shapes or whatever you'd like to do, right? They're all under here, as all these have those wonderful drop-down options. Okay, so I have my cup selected. I'm going to go to appearance, because remember, you don't want to add on top of an effect. So I'm going to click on 3D Revolve. It's going to open up this window. If you have slower rendering or processing on your computer, you might not want to do preview. Then you go to Map Artwork. You can see there's one of 16 panels or planes. You can see this one is the bottom circle. So as I walk through these, you can see how the lines change, indicating which plane we're on. See how narrow that is? That's just this little plane right inside here. So we don't want that one. I want to apply an image to it. So the gray area is what you don't see. The white area is what you do see. So this is showing you the inside of the cup, which we have brown ink, brown color applied to. That's the rim of the cup. Another layer inside, band outside. Walk through these all, looking to have the outside of the cup highlighted. There we go. So here's the outside. I'm on 15 of 16. Yours will not have the same number as mine. That would be really, really rare. It's completely dependent on the shape of your cup. So if I go to symbols, remember my symbol library, here are the symbols that were in here. I love sunflowers, so I'm going to go ahead and put that on here. If I hold my shift key down, I can stretch it evenly. And as you can see it on the cup. If I were to move it to the gray area, you will not see that. So you got to make sure you keep it in the lit area. And I can say okay and okay. And then I can bring back my steam, and there you have it. Isn't it beautiful? So have fun with it. I can't wait to see your masterpieces, and I will see you soon. Thank you.